Hey y'all, this is Sam at Flippin and Trippin. We're going to do a little bit of flipping video today. We are at the Reagan's Family Campground in Madison, Florida for the Full-Time Families Group, the yearly reunion. There's over 100 families here and we're kind of taking a break right now from doing stuff, so I figured I'd get a video done while we're here. We have a pretty nice spot. I don't know if you see, but it's right on the lake. It's kind of on the edge of everything, which we're okay with because it's a lot quieter over here. And one of the people, the one right next to us on our door side, actually did not show up for the event. So we have a really nice big lawn in front of us, which is kind of cool. But today I was going to have a talk about shipping, because it seems like this seems to be one of the things that like people are afraid of mostly whenever they're doing eBay for the first time, is that they're worried about shipping. And I just want to tell you guys, there's not anything to be worried about. It's actually not that bad. Most eBay sellers will tell you when you're first starting out, it's probably a good idea to always do calculated shipping and not worry about free shipping. Just make sure you put in your calculated shipping measurements and poundage correctly, so that whenever the person looks at the listing, they're going to see the correct shipping. But one thing to keep in mind with that is normally you're going to end up paying less than the calculated amount if you have it correct, because you get a discount through eBay for your shipping charges. Now, what some people will do is they'll do free shipping on things maybe up to 3 pounds, because you can kind of judge, even if it's going from Florida to California, if it's 3 pounds or under, and it's under 12 by 12 by 12, normally you can kind of know what your highest amount's going to be. So that works out good for the way we have to do this as full-time travelers with eBay, because I never do calculated shipping. There's some people that are yay, some people that are nay on this. Basically, you can either do $80 free shipping, or you could do $60 plus calculated shipping. That's probably going to come out to about $20. What I mean by this is the buyer is going to pay around the same amount no matter how you do it. Okay, it might be a little bit under, it might be a little bit over sometimes, but if you look at the comps, even the ones with like plus shipping or free shipping, they all add up to around the same amount. So it really doesn't matter. I err on the side of using free shipping just because it does give you a little bump with the algorithm, and because I kind of know what I'm going to be shipping because I have storage constraints for my eBay inventory. I can kind of I can use the knowledge that I've learned to know what it's going to cost me roundabout to ship. So that's the hardest part, is worrying about how much is it going to cost to ship? Am I going to make money on this thing? There's a couple of easy measurements you can kind of do. It's not too hard to do the calculations in your head. The main things to remember are pound and under. Okay, if there's at 4, 8, and 12, that's when the next upgrade for the charges come in. 4 ounces is always the lowest, then it'll go up to 8 ounces, then it'll go up to 12, and then it'll go up to a pound. So it graduates up to a higher fee for the shipping as you go up. If you have something like, let's say, 6 ounces, it'll automatically round up to the nearest whole of that. So if it's a 6 ounce, it'll ship as an 8 ounce. You can put in 6 in there, it's still going to charge it as an 8. So I always put in 4, 8, 12. Now, from 12 to a pound, that's the highest of that expense for shipping in that category. If you're shipping something at 4 ounces, you're usually going to pay about $4.50 tops with your eBay shipping discount, no matter where it's going in the country. And then it's normally between $5 and $5.50 from 8 or 12. It just depends. The big jump though is when you get from 12 ounces to 1 pound. If it's more than 12 ounces, you're going to have to round it up to a pound. Okay, that's just the way it works at the post office. So if you're shipping something as a pound and it's going from, like, say, Florida, where I'm at now, to California, it might be almost $8 to ship it. But that's your high line. So you always can know, like, say you're kind of weighing something at, you're at a yard sale and you're like, I wonder what this is going to cost me to ship. It's about this big, and you're pretty sure it's under a pound, which you'll kind of start learning weights as you do this. It doesn't take that long to kind of get an idea. You're not going to be completely accurate, but even if you're off by a pound, between 1 and 2 pounds there's not really that big of a difference, as long as it's not like a huge package. So like, say I pick up I pick up a camcorder that's got a battery and stuff, which I'm going to ship it with the battery and the charger, and it's going to be a little over a pound. I'm thinking, you know, I'm looking at it, it's going to be a pound. I know that if I'm paying $5 for this camcorder, and I'm just going to throw this out there, I'm going to get a gross amount of $50 on eBay for it. You kind of can judge a little bit of, you know, what your fees are going to be like. You know, 13.5%. Every $10 you're paying, what, $1.35? So around about $6 for fees. And then your shipping, if it's around a pound to 2 pounds, it should only cost you at most $10 because it's a small item too. Sometimes when you get a little bit bigger, they start going dimensional weight too on top of the weight, or I mean dimensional, like, you know, the width and length of your package on top of the weight. So you got to kind of keep that in mind. But for that example, it would cost me a total of, you know, $10 for the shipping. That's like high end. $5 that I'm paying for it, and then $6 for the eBay fee. So I'm out $21 for this item, and it's selling for $50. So I'm making $29 on it. Now, some people might have trouble doing the math in their head, but honestly, it gets a lot easier as you go. Okay, you just always have to keep in mind when you're buying something, what's this going to cost me to ship? Okay. Now, in that example, that actually was 1 to 2 pounds, and I told you there's not really that big of a difference between $8 and $10. So if you're going 1 to 2 pounds and it's under 12 by 12 by 12, you should be around 10 pounds. Now, once you start getting above that, then when things get a little trickier, depending on where you're at and where it's going, it could go as high as, I try to ship stuff no bigger than 12 by 12 by 12 because you do get a surcharge jump after that in, you know, the dimensional measurements. And then I also try to keep it under 5 pounds. Now, I've been doing this long enough where I give myself a little bit of room. There's times that I will buy something that's 11 pounds, like a VCR. And, you know, I might be looking at putting it in an 11 by 16 by 6 size box. So I'm going to be over that 12 potentially, depending on how long it is. I still know that I'm not going to pay more than $20 to ship that, pretty much no matter where I send it, unless it's going up to Alaska or something. That's a whole nother ball game. So if I'm paying $5 for a VCR that's going to sell for $80, I'm paying $20 to ship it, and I'm paying 13.5% on fees, I'm still making money. Okay, it's, you know, that's just one of those things you just kind of pick up though. For first starting out, if you can stick under 5 pounds and try to keep it, you know, well under 12 by 12 by 12, you're not going to have any problems. You should not have to pay more than $15 at all to ship. Okay, there may be some cases that it might be a little bit over, but I have not had this come up very often, and honestly it works out because there's going to be quite a few times, depending on where you're at in the country, where it might go to the state or two next door, especially like if you're around Texas, California, I think New York and Illinois. Those are the big 4 states for shipments. So if you're living close to one of those, you know, it's not going to cost you much to ship. Whereas, you know, maybe another shipment's got to go to California and you're in Florida. It kind of evens out. So don't be afraid of shipping. Now, to ship, there are some things that are required to have, and there are some things that are very desirable to have. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go through the ones you need to have. Okay, your first thing is you need to know how to weigh stuff. So you need to pick up a digital scale. Okay, you need it to be accurate within, you know, the 0.0 ounces. Okay, because you're going to round up. If it's like, if I've got something that's 7.9 ounces, I will usually just put it in at an 8 ounce rate, just because if my scale's off and, you know, a little bit, or the post office scale's off a little bit, I'd rather have it paid a little bit more than be under and them charge me for it. Okay, so you can get one of these on Amazon pretty cheap. I don't have a list or anything, just go look for one yourself. You got to have tape. Okay, this is a tape gun. I use this for the actual boxes, but you can just do a roll of tape if you want. It's up to you. I find this just makes it easier because it cuts itself. I do also have a small thing of tape. I use this when I'm bubble wrapping stuff, and you know, I just pull off just a little bit of tape. You know, it doesn't take much. Or, you know, you could even use the little rolls of tape that you had in school or whatever. Those work too. I just rather use this because there's sometimes I want a bigger piece, and it allows me to do that. I get those on Amazon too. You got to have bubble wrap. Okay. You're going to need to make sure your stuff's packed securely, so you've got to have this. Also, packing paper is good to have too, because sometimes you're going to have those empty spaces and voids in the box, and you got to fill those up, because the last thing you want is something shaking around. Okay, the post office is going to do a whole lot of shaking and bouncing around your boxes. You don't want to put your own shaking and stuff in there on top of that. So you want to make sure and have bubble wrap and packing paper. Okay, there are certain boxes I tend to use more of, so those are the ones I potentially buy myself. The wind's starting to pick up. I'm hoping everything's going to come through. I'm not going to stop the video. If my wife needs to, she will cut this portion out, and then we can go back to... Okay, she's probably going to cut that out. I'll just give her a couple seconds. Okay, so there's certain boxes that I use personally. These are good sized boxes to have, especially if you're doing this on the road. This is all geared towards somebody that may potentially want to do this on the road. Although you can use this, you know, if you're actually working out of your home and you're just kind of strapped for space, and you also want to keep your costs down somewhat, because you're not going to be able to have every box size in the world. The main box I use, if I've got 20 orders going out, there's probably at least 10 to 13 of them that are going out in this size box. This is a 7x5x5 box. Okay. Most of my stuff goes out in one of these, okay, barring video games. Okay, you can see the cool little tape. There's actually a layer of regular tape underneath this, and then I use another layer of eBay tape just to kind of I like to give it a little bit of a look, and it's an advertisement, you know, lets people know this is coming from eBay. So I normally do that with my boxes. I don't like using just the eBay tape because it's not that great for strength. It's more to just kind of reinforce the tape on there. Okay, so the second most popular thing, depending on what I have video game wise, is bubble mailers. Okay, I always get the 7x10s. Do not pick up the 6x9s, especially the ones at Walmart. It's going to be very hard to get some video game cases inside of them. Always get the 7x10s. You'll have to get them on Amazon. I don't go with the weird colors or anything like that. I just get a straight one, and I make sure and get the one that's got the pull-off tape right here. It just makes things so much easier. But if I get a lot of video games, I use a lot of these. Okay. Now, the next size box. This is, I call it the 11x8x6, but you can see the actual measurements. When you're inputting this box, you're going to have to put 11x8x6, because just like with weight, it's going to round up to the nearest inch. Okay, so you can see the size of this box right here. Okay, you can fit a Wii with some remotes and a couple video games. You can fit, you know, bigger size electronics that won't fit in a 7x5x5, but you are not going to fit a VCR in something like this. Okay, the 7x5x5 and the bubble mailers I do get off of Amazon. I buy the 7x5x5s in packs of 100, which is about as big as you're going to be able to get unless you got a lot of storage in your RV. And then I will usually, if I need to buy bubble mailers, I will also get them on Amazon in packs of 1 to 200. I actually had a really great deal about a year and a half ago, before we actually started full timing, where I bought I think 10 boxes of 1,000 bubble mailers in each box, and I've got them in storage. And then after, when we go up by Arkansas, where I've got the storage, which is where our family's at, I stop and pick up a couple boxes and put them in the RV, and then when those run out, I'll start buying on Amazon again. But right now I'm still going through those, so that's pretty cool. I got those really cheap, like 2 cents a, pretty much like 2 cents a bubble mailer. But yeah, this one is a Walmart box. Walmart's good for getting some size boxes, because you never know how many you're going to need, and some of those bigger ones you're not going to use as many, so you don't want to have to store a bunch of them. You're going to pay a little bit more per box, but the cool thing about this is it's flexible. You don't have to, you know, store a bunch of extra boxes. There's a Walmart pretty much anywhere you're at, or within maybe 30 minutes, you know, when you're traveling, so you can always stock up on these. I usually try to keep about 10 of these available. But it's up to you. It depends on how many you're showing. You know, I'm shipping roughly 10 items a day, so you can determine how many of those you want to keep. Now, just in case, this is another Walmart box. Sorry, I didn't close this one up. Okay, this is a 10x8x12. I know that's cut off, but you can see how big this one is. Okay, this is for a little bit even bigger items. Like I ship food processor parts, like Cuisinart Prep Plus food processors, if you can get them for like $10, there's quite a few models where you can part out the base, which I normally don't keep. You can part out the bin, you can part out the lid, you can part out the chutes that go inside it, and those all sell for, you know, around $30 a piece, some even more depending on what it is. So if I've got those, I'll probably need something like this. If I've got, you know, one of the bowls that's going out or something like this, it'll need to go in a little bit bigger box. Okay, but I normally keep, you know, maybe 3 or 4 of those, just so I've got them available. Okay, so one other thing, or 2 other things you got to have. Okay, you got to have measuring tape. Okay, everybody probably has one of these in their house. I just use the normal measuring tape because, you know, you may have boxes or weird sized packages that you're going to need to measure, that you're not going to come out with the correct measurements on the box. And honestly, some of those measurements on those boxes that you get aren't what they say they actually are. So it's good to have one of these. You want to get within the nearest inch. If you're in between inches, always round up. Okay. Of course, you're going to need scissors. You know, you're going to end up cutting bubble wrap, tape, boxes, you know, whatever. So you got to have these available too. I think that's pretty much everything that I think you need to have. Technically, you need to have some way to print, okay? But there are certain ways, there are different ways you can do this. You can either have like an inkjet printer or something at your house. Maybe it's at work and you can maybe talk to your boss or whatever. I actually did that for quite a few years. My boss was nice enough to let me print off my labels there at the office. But after we went full time, I went ahead and got a thermal printer. But if you don't want to outlay that money right off the bat to either buy, you know, an inkjet printer or a thermal printer, you can just take the QR code that you get when you purchase the label and take that up to the post office and they can scan it. It takes a lot longer, but if you've only got 1 or 2 items going out a day, I wouldn't worry about it. If you do want to make this very easy when it comes to printing labels, I would suggest getting a decent thermal printer. I took all the wires off, but this is a wired one. It'll connect to a normal Windows PC. I think it'll also connect with Matt. This is the Dymo Label Writer XL. These are a couple $100, but oh my god, is this so worth it. There's no ink, you know, there's no mess. They're automatically are sticky back, so all you gotta do is pull them off and slap them right on the box. It just makes things so much easier. And you don't have to buy the Dymo labels for these, okay? You can get off-brand labels on eBay. That's what I've done since I started. Some people will tell you, oh my god, you're gonna have so many problems. I have not had any problems with this one. Now there may be some of the newer ones where they may start putting in some kind of scan thing on it. I know some of the Dymo labels have like QR codes or something underneath to where when it's spinning it'll kind of try to scan for that, and then maybe it might try to error if you're not using their labels. I don't know, but I know with this one, the 4XL, I have no problems. I would definitely suggest picking one of these up. If you are seriously considering doing eBay, even part-time, this is the kind of investment I think you want to make. This is a big quality of life thing, okay? That's pretty much it, guys. Shipping's not that hard. You know, if you stick within the boundaries of, you know, under 5 pounds, under 12 by 12 by 12, you're not going to have any problems. I would even do free shipping. Because you're not going to get burned on it if you stay within those parameters, because you know what your top end is going to be. Okay, at most you're going to pay $15 to $20 for a 5 pound 12 by 12 by 12 that's going maybe from Florida up to California, maybe Florida up to Maine, or, you know, possibly Alaska. Those do come up. But when you're under a pound at most, you're going to be paying, you know, roughly $8 at the very most. It could be as low as like $6.50. And then anything 12 ounces and under, you're more than likely not going to pay more than $5.50 for. So that's a really good way to keep track of things. You're going to have to do a little bit of math in your head, but it's so worth it. Don't let the shipping scare you into not wanting to do this. Even doing this full time, it's not hard. There are post offices in pretty much every town. So there's never been a time where I've been further than 30 minutes from a post office. Usually it's less than 10. It's hard if you have like an RV and you don't have like a vehicle, like say you got a Class A or something, and that's all you've got with no towed, trying to get in some of these littler places. But it's not bad. There's some places where you can just go walk right in and they can scan your packages in really quickly because they're not very busy. But then there's other post offices like Houston and stuff. When we were up near Lake Conroe, in Williston, like it was constantly packed. They did have a bin to where you could put your packages, but then if you do that, of course you can't get them scanned. But if you want to wait in line for the 15 people in front of you and then try to scan in 20 packages and get dirty looks behind you, feel free to. I normally don't unless I have really high value items that I need, put in. I do like to get scanned whenever possible though, because that's how you can keep the post office on their toes. If you have something that gets lost in the mail and there was no initial scan, there may not have been a scan before it got lost, and then what happens? You're just hoping that it's going to show up eventually. That does not happen that much, but there is a possibility of it, so just remember that. And you do have problems with getting returns. We actually have a family member that if I have returns, they will go to them in Arkansas, and that way I don't, she'll look through them and double check them, and I'll tell her what I want her to look for if there's any, like a switcheroo type thing, which has happened, and then I'll do what I need to from there. But usually I have a return rate of about, I think 1.5, close to 2%, so it's not bad. I'm not getting too much stint there, and then just the next time that I go, I'll just go pick those up, and if it's something I can relist, I handle that. So that is one side that you'll probably need to get a family member that's willing to help you out a little bit to deal with that part. But really, guys, there's nothing else that's keeping you from doing this while you're traveling other than, your ability to go out and source, which is a different video. The shipping part's not hard. So hopefully this makes you guys feel a little better. I'm going to enjoy the day here. The wind held off long enough for me to get the video done. We're right next to the lake here. It's a sunny day, about 70, I think right around 70, isn't it? Pretty close. So we're having a great time here at the reunion so far, and we're gonna get back to it. But for now, that's all I wanted to talk about today. The shipping's easy. There's other things that are more difficult, but the shipping's not that bad if you're looking to do this full time. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. It's a beautiful day here in Madison, Florida. For the full-time families get together, we're going to go do some stuff and hang out and enjoy the day. And you enjoy your day too. Please like and subscribe if you like this kind of content, and we'll see you next time.